Hello and welcome to Health 315. I'm Mickey Yanchevsky and I'm your instructor, and this brief slide presentation is designed to help you be successful in the class. These are some key points to passing Health 315. This is a very serious class because we're trying to get you to write at a 400 level so that when you get to your 400 level classes, you're successful. There's a lot of work in this class. So in order to be successful, you need to schedule time in your calendar in order to do homework, prepare, and write your papers. So for a 15-week class, you need at least 9 hours a week to do your homework, prepare, and write. For a 10-week class, you need 11 to 12 hours a week to prepare, do homework, and write your papers. And for a 7-week class, you need 12 to 15 hours a week to prepare, do homework, and write papers. And although that seems like a lot, the shorter the sessions, the fewer the sessions we have, the more hours we have to devote to getting everything completed. Another key point is if you do what I ask you to do, you will succeed. Every single assignment we have builds for the next assignment. So if you use the work that you've done in the past and you read over the comments and you try to implement those changes, you will be successful. And a key issue that you need to understand is it is now not going to work to write papers at the last minute. My guess is that most of you are very good students, you have good grades, and you've been able to sit down and write a paper that's due tomorrow the night before. If you do that in this class, you will not be successful. Some other helpful tips is you have to work hard all semester. You cannot fall behind in this class. One of the reasons is because there's a lot of work. But the other reason is the paper you do today will help you with the paper you're going to do 3 days from now. So if you turn in a paper late, you're not going to have the feedback you need in order to do well on the bigger assignments. You will all be selecting grants to work in, and you'll be in groups with your grants. You do not write your grant as a group, but you can work together on finding articles or brainstorming ideas. When we do group work in the class, you will be with your grant group for that group work. You need to learn what your grant is asking of you. Your grants will give you a problem, like a disease or a condition, and they will tell you a very specific type of population with which you have to work. So for example, if you had a suicide grant, they might say you have to work with veterans or college students. Or if you had a teenage pregnancy grant, they probably would tell you you have to work with minority or underserved communities. So you need to really look at your grant to see what it's asking you to do so that you're prepared to do that. Whatever the grant is asking you to do, that's what you need to write. If you go into this thinking, I'm going to do X, but the grant wants you to do Y and Z, you're not going to have very successful papers. The first 2 papers in the class, you are allowed to rewrite them for a 2nd grade. The grades are combined and you get you get the mean of the 2 grades, or the average. So if you get a chance to rewrite them and you have the time, you should take the opportunity to do that. You should also take any recommendations I write you. When you get your papers back, they will have a lot of red, which means I'm making comments to you or explaining why something's wrong. Or they'll have a lot of yellow, which means there's an error there that you need to look at. Other colors are usually designed to help us find topics as we're going through your paper. And when should you worry? I will tell you if you need to worry. If you fall below a D average in the first week or 2 in the class, you should worry. If you have a C or a D in the beginning of the class, you can still pull out an A or a B. You have to remember there are 1,000 points in this class, so if you mess up 1 or 2 assignments, it will not drop your grade a whole lot. Other important issues, you have to use APA format for writing your papers. There is a book that is required. It's not optional, but it is required. And the reason it is required is because it has APA formatting in it as well as grammar. If you don't want to buy a book, that is your choice. You can also use Purdue OWL or Cook Library websites. And the book that we use, you're more than welcome to get an older edition of the book. And lots of times people can find an older edition for the book for $5 or $10. This is a book that I highly recommend you keep, because for the rest of your career, whether it's in college or in the workplace, the APA format and the grammar issues in the book will help you a great deal. You are graded on spelling and grammar in this class. You have to spell correctly, and you have to be able to write sentences and essays that are grammatically correct. We will spend time learning that, but in reality, the way you get better at writing is to write. So the more you write, the better you will get. For every paper you submit, there has to be an intro, a body, and a summary. And it's not just an introduction to the topic, but every paper you write should have an introduction to the paper. The body of the paper then does exactly what you said you were going to do in the introduction, and then there should be a summary that tells the reader what you did. And while that seems silly, if you start writing all of your papers for college or any place else in that exact format, you will find that your grades on all of your papers will increase or go up. Make sure you proof your papers before you submit them. We are on an accelerated course, so it's going to be harder to use the Writing Center randomly. So you might want to set up a weekly appointment with the Writing Center before we even start class. When you go to the Writing Center, which I think is on the 5th floor of the language of the Liberal Arts Building, what you will find is you could take a draft, you could take an outline, you could take some of your ideas and the scoring rubric, and they will help you put your paper together so that you get a good grade. And finally, whatever the directions say, that's what you need to do. You're going to find that the scoring rubrics in this class are very detailed, and they tell you exactly what it is you are supposed to write. If you write exactly what the directions tell you to write, you will do very well. So the next couple presentations that you're going to watch before you come to class go over the syllabus and the Blackboard page to make sure everyone understands what we're doing. Thanks for watching this slide presentation, and I look forward to seeing you in class.